When times change a little bit, whether it's for the weather or the recession or any time that you feel the currents ebbing and flowing in your business, you do try to think, okay, what can I do differently? And I look at it not as a reinvention of what I'm doing, but an evolution. If you totally reinvent that, you actually might be confusing your loyal customers that you currently have. So how do you go from this area to this area? And it should be a slow evolution where you subtly change this, subtly change that. And then you're going to find out what they like and what they don't like.
One of the things that is happening in America today is the trend of local foods, and it's across the nation. And it just so happened that this interpretation of New Appalachian cuisine fit very nicely into that mold. And so when we began to promote it through classes at the resort, through our menu, through press releases, the press immediately picked up on it because it was one of the trends that was happening in America at the time, and continues to be. And what happened was an interesting thing started to happen with guests, with people outside of the resort. People started to stand up and take notice that in West Virginia there's a resort and there's a group of chefs that were actually listening to what was happening in America and taking this idea of local foods, and that chefs wanted to use it in their restaurants. And that entire concept tied in with what New Appalachian cuisine is, and it continues to today.
Well, early on in the operation of our business, we learned that we have to listen to the customer's desires and wants, and not particularly what we think is cool to eat. And one specific example of that is that we, early on, we made up this beautiful lasagna that had a layer of fresh basil leaves and tomato concasse, and then there was some spinach and portobello mushrooms that was sliced very thin and layered in there, and it was very flavorful and delicious. And we put it up for sale that day, and a lady ordered 2 to go, and we got a phone call, by mid-afternoon after lunch service, and she said, "I want my money back." She said, "I bought that lasagna, and I don't know what you had in it. I had this green slimy stuff, and I picked around it best I could, but I couldn't eat it all." And I said, "Well, ma'am, that was basil or whatnot." The bottom line was I gave her her money back, and I said, "Look, this might be what we think is cool to eat, and we enjoy making it, but we're running a business, and we need to sell them what they want." And an even clearer example was we made this beautiful gazpacho, very small diced vegetables, and it was beautiful. And one lady loved it and became one of our best friends and emailed us. She was from California, but everyone else wanted it heated up, and so a couple of these lessons early on, we begin to try to target, well, what would they want? What do they want? And one of the feedback issues was, we need filling food, so value, and they want something that's not cutting edge but has a bold flavor and whatnot. So yes, it is critically important to constantly listen to your customers, and we have become who we have through listening to the people that sometimes complain the most, but have relevant, and because our ears are open, we may hear more, but it's invaluable to listen and learn and adapt.
At my restaurant, I do nightly specials, and some of the things that are a little bit more contemporary than what we typically present. So I'm very, very curious, and whenever someone gets that very first one, I go to the table and say, okay, now it's 20 questions on this menu item. Did you like the flavor? Did you like the texture? Would you order it again? One of the most famous ones of when I was doing some local lamb, I did a lamb rack of ribs confit, and inherently lamb is fatty to begin with, and my thoughts were the cooking technique, since it does go long and slow and more fat, that it should make it nice and tender. Well, it was amazing that half of the people that tried it that night loved it, and the other half felt that it was too fatty. So I always have to pick and choose what I'm going to do as my nightly specials, because I want it to be over the top. I want people to go, wow, but I don't want to alienate someone, especially that may not have been in my restaurant before, because I'm trying these new menu items. So input on specials is invaluable. I do different takes also on some of my regulars. They say, oh, my mother used to make this, and my mother did this. And so I will try different interpretations of those, and I'll call them when I'm ready to do that. And also when I am in the experimentation mode of creating a new menu item, I'll try it out on a lot of our regulars. I have regulars that have the children. I'll bring them in, and always interested in hearing what their comments on that. And that's how I move my menu forward also, is you have to hear that feedback. You have to know what people really are thinking about, because this is your business, this is what you do, this is your life. You have to make sure that people are happy with what you're doing.